Hi, my name is Brian Suhr. I'm part of the tech marketing team here at Nutanix. In this video, we're going to be looking at VM startup policies. These policies do exactly as you think. They allow you to control the startup order of virtual machines on an HA restart or upon a cluster restart. So let's configure one of these policies and see how it's done. To get things sped up a little bit, I'm already logged into my Prism Central instance. I've already pre-created some categories. We'll take a look and find them because we're going to use categories to control how the virtual machines are assigned to this policy. So I created a overarching category as startup, and then I have group 1, 2, 3 that we're going to assign. So let's go back to the infrastructure view and click on VMs. And under policy, you'll see there's a new option for VM startup policies. So let's go there and create our first policy. Let's click the option to start it. Call it my first policy. And by default, there's 2 groups here. You can have up to 6 of these groups within a individual startup policy. And then you add VMs to them by assigning categories to them. Each of the group can have 5 categories assigned to them as a max. So we've created some VMs, and then I've assigned those categories that we just looked at to make this process a little simpler. So let's add the first one, and just to make it simple, I've got the group 1 category from startup here. We'll add to our first group to keep it simple and clear. And then that tells us there's 1 virtual machine as expected. Let's add our second one here. So just group 2, keep it dead simple. And then we're going to add 1 more dependency group. And as you can expect, that's going to be the third category for group 3. So now we've assigned our different categories to these. And our basic sample application, which is a database, an app, and a web tier, are going to start up in that order to make this as simple as possible for our demo. All right, so we can control our start conditions. So we can choose whether we want to simply power on the virtual machines or if we'd like them to sense, for guests to be booted up. And then you have the option to insert a delay here, right? So it's after the previous one is done, mandatory waiting before it starts the next group. So let's give it just 90 seconds for our example here, and then you can see it's got this delay of 90 seconds. We'll do the same thing here, just to keep this very simple. And then that's our simple group that we've created. So let's click Create. And this will take us back to our startup policies list. And now it's checking compliance on this. So it is possible for a virtual machine to be part of multiple different startup policies. And it's going to check compliance on that to make sure that the VM and the policies don't have any conflicts between them. If there are, it will tell you that there's a compliance issue, and then it will report what that is, and then you can go and correct that. So our policy tells us they're all compliant. So if we'd have an HA issue where a node or multiple nodes restarted, then those VMs would be brought up in the proper order, or maybe in a cluster restart, probably like an edge use case or something where it didn't have full redundancy that you have in a data center, where the cluster would do a full restart from a power issue possibly, then all the VMs in the cluster that were part of startup policies would adhere to these policies and start up in the correct order. Thanks for tuning in and learning a little bit more about startup policies.